In this next video, I'm going to show you my lazy glove technique. Now, I call it that because it's just a matter of creating the right sized rectangle and combining it with a separate thumb insert. So it means you can substitute any kind of fancy crochet or knitted pattern, as long as it's a rectangle and the correct size, with the thumb insert. Now, for the pineapple stitch, you want to make sure that your rectangle is 18 centimeters wide, 7 1/8, by 12 centimeters, that's 4 3/4 inches. It's really important that it comes up no wider than that. So I would recommend either adjusting your hook size or reducing or increasing the amount of repeats by 8 stitches to get the rectangle the correct width. It's really important. For this project, I'm using Rowan Cash Soft 4-ply. So when purchasing yarn, marry this ball band tension here, but for similar results to mine, note that I'm deliberately going down fractionally with the hook size. I'm using 3mm hook for this glove. I've combined the wrong side of the crochet fabric with a knitwise thumb, but you may prefer to use the right side of the crochet fabric. I'll leave that decision up to you. Begin by getting your 3mm hook and creating a slip knot. And create 48 chains. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. And once you have 48 chain stitches, we can begin the foundation row. Begin the foundation row with 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then insert your hook into the 6th chain along. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go into that chain and do a single crochet, and that would be a double crochet if you're in the UK. Now 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 5th chain along, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, insert your hook and single crochet. So that would be the first part of the repeat. Chain 3 and insert your hook into the 3rd chain along and single crochet. And now we want to repeat that little sequence from the 5 chains onwards, all the way along. So 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into the 5th chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, into the 3rd chain, 1, 2, 3, single crochet. So that's another repeat completed. 5 chains, into the 5th chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet, 3 chains, into the 3rd chain along, single crochet, and keep going with that repeat. 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into that 5th chain, single crochet, 3 chains, 1, 2, into the 3rd chain along, single crochet, 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into the 5th chain along, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 into the 3rd chain along, single crochet, and we want to end the work with 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go into the last chain, which should be the fifth one if all is correct, and single crochet, and that will be your foundation row completed. Turn the work and we can now begin row 1. So row 1 forms the first row of this 4-row repeat. So begin with 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and single crochet into the next 5 chain space. And single crochet. Now 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do a bobble into this next 3 chain space here. So we've done our 3 chains, wrap the yarn around the hook, go into the 3 chain space and pull through a loop. Now pull through 2 at a time, so that's pulling through once, pulling through twice, pulling through 3 times initially. Yarn around the hook again into the space. This time we're pulling through twice, look, 1, 2. Note we've got 2 loops on the hook, which is what we want. When we've got 5, we can pull through all of these loops and form our bobble. So that's stitch number 3. Yarn around the hook again, create stitch number 4, yarn around the hook again, complete stitch number 5, 2, 4, 5 loops on the hook, so pull through, secure with a slip stitch, and now chain 3 and go into the next 5 chain space with a single crochet, and we're going to repeat that bobble stitch throughout the entire row. Begin with 3 chains and create your bobble, yarn around the hook twice, go into that 3 chain space, pull through 2 loops at a time, that's once, twice, 3 times initially, that's stitch number 1, yarn around the hook twice, through, this time pulling through once, pulling through twice and collecting the stitches. Once we have 5 stitches we can gather in our bobble. That's 4. And that's 5. We've now got 5 stitches, pull them through and secure with a slip stitch, chain 3 and single crochet into the next 5 chain space, and get ready to repeat again. Chain 3, yarn around the hook twice, into the 3 chain space, pull through, pull the yarn through once, pull the yarn through twice and a 3rd time for the first stitch, Now create another 4 stitches, pulling through twice. That's 3. 4. 5. Once you've got your 5 stitches, gather them in, secure with a slip stitch, chain 3, go into the next 5 chain space and single crochet, and repeat for a 4th time. 3 chains, yarn around the hook twice, into the next 3 chain space, pull through, pulling through those 2 stitches once, twice, 3 times, yarn around the hook twice again into the same space, and creating 5 stitches that we can draw in to form the bobble. Got a little extra strand there, can you see? Let's get rid of him. Once you have your 5 stitches, gather them in, secure with a slip stitch, chain 3, into the next 5 chain space, do a single crochet, chain 3, yarn around the hook twice into the 3 chain space, pull through once, twice, 3 times, yarn around the hook twice into the same space, pulling through twice, once you have your 5 stitches, you can complete your bobble. One, two, three, 4. Dear, I seem to have a bit of a problem with the yarn here. I just have to ignore that. Pull through, secure with a slip stitch, 3 chains, and go into the next 5 chain space and single crochet. Now we're going to end the work with one final bobble into this little loop here. So at the moment we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bobbles, and we're aiming for 6. So 3 chains, yarn around the hook twice, and create that last bobble. So I've got my 5 stitches, I'm going to draw them in and secure with a slip stitch. And that would complete row 1. So after completing row 1, check that you've got 6 bobbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. row 2. Just turning the work. Begin with 5 chains. Now single crochet into the next 3 chain space, which is here, and single crochet. 3 chains and single crochet into the next 3 chain space here. And repeat that sequence throughout. So 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into the next 3 chain space, ignoring my horrible bit of thread there. Go into the next 3 chain space and single crochet. So you'll notice that the longer chains sort of go over the top of the bobbles. 1, 2, 3 chains, go into the next 3 chain space, single crochet. 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into the next 3 chain space, single crochet. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the next 3 chain space, single crochet. 5 chains, into the next 3 chain space, single crochet. 3 chains, go into the next space, single crochet. Five chains, into the next space, single crochet. 3 chains, into the next 3 chain space, single crochet. 5 chains, into the next 3 chain space, single crochet. So the repeat ends with 3 chains going into the last space with a single crochet, and that's row 2 completed. Row 3 of the repeat, we're going to begin with 3 chains. So this is the repeat, starting with 3 chains, and then we're going to bobble into the next 3 chain space, which is here. Yarn around the hook twice, into the space, create your bobble. Pull through and secure with a slip stitch, 3 chains, and single crochet into the next 5 chain space. Repeat that sequence throughout, so 3 chains, and then create your bobble into the next 3 chain space. Once you've finished your bobble, chain 3, single crochet into the next 5 chain space, and repeat again, chain 3, into the next 3 chain space, create your bobble. Once you've finished your bubble, chain 3, single crochet into the next 5 chain space, begin again, 3 chains, create your bubble into the next 3 chain space, three chains into the next 5 chain space, single crochet, begin again, 3 chains, create your bubble into the next 3 chain space, chain 3, go into the 5 chain space with a single crochet, 3 chains. So we're going to create our last bubble for row 3, go into that 3 chain space and create your final bubble. Draw in your bubble, secure with a slip stitch, chain 3, go into that last 5 chain space, single crochet, and now end the work like this, 2 chains, we're going to create a treble, yarn around the hook twice, and we're going to open up the last 2 stitches of the bubble. So we've got 1, 2, 3, so there's our 4th, there's our 5th stitch, and we're going to go in between those stitches, pull through once, twice, and a 3rd time to complete row 3 rather. So once you've completed row 3, you've still got 6 bubbles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Row 4. Begin the work with 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and single crochet into the second 3 chain space, so not this one here, and single crochet. Now 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet into the next 3 chain space. Now 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and single crochet into the next 3 chain space. Now we're going to repeat that little sequence here. So 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet into the next 3 chain space, 3 chains, single crochet into the next 3 chain space, five chains, single crochet into the next 3 chain space, 3 chains, single crochet into the next 3 chain space, 5 chains, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet into the next 3 chain space, 3 chains, single crochet into the next 3 chain space. So we're now going to create 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and with a single crochet we're going to go in between those last 2 stitches with a single crochet, and then that completes our 4-row repeat. Once you've achieved your rectangle, from the top edge, what I'd like you to do is measure 5 centimetres, 2 inches downwards from the top. I'm just going to sew down 5 centimetres from the top edge. So look, as you can see, no great sewing skills really needed here, just weaving in and out along the seam. I'm trying to mimic the tension of the glove, so I'm not pulling too tight, I'm not leaving it too loose so that you can see great big gaps. So this is this will later become the junction where the gusset of the thumb inserts, so I want to make sure that that is quite secure, so I'll go in an extra time there. So cast on 20 stitches and divide them over 2 double pointed needles. I'm using 3¼ ones, and we're going to create a small tube in stockinette stitch, so we're going to work knitwise. When I've worked knitwise across needle 1, I will get a marker and identify it as my starting needle. Two, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. So that becomes needle 1 and my starting needle. And now working needle 2. Now these instructions will work for 4-ply yarn, but you may need to make adjustments for, you know, any other type of yarn. For example, if it's double knitting, you'll need fewer stitches. Now the last 2 stitches quite often want to cling together, so just be aware of that. So that's our first round. I'm going to continue working knitwise, i.e. in stockinette stitch, for 11 more rounds, so that's 12 in total. We have our 12 rounds completed. The next row we'll call round 1, and we're going to cast off the first 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and continue knitwise for the balance of the round. So that's row 1 complete. Purl the entire row. Purl all the way back again. Row 3 we can begin putting all our stitches onto one needle, and we're going to do some decreasing as well. Knit 2 and then knit 2 together through the backs of the loops. And knit to the last 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. When you're at the last 4 stitches, knit 2 together and knit 2. So that's row 3. Now row 4, purl the entire row. That's 4. Row number 5, just a plain knit row. So that completes row 5, and turn the work and purl all the way across again for row 6. That's row 6 complete. Now for row 7, which is a decrease row, and the decrease is worked exactly the same as row 3. So knit 2, knit 2 together through the backs of the loops, once you've knitted 2 together through the back, knit to the last 4 stitches. Once you have 4 stitches, knit 2 together and knit 2, and that's row 7 complete, and you have 12 stitches. Now the next decrease is going to occur on row 11, so I'd like you to work the rows in between in stocking stitch. So rows 8, 9 and 10 work in stocking stitch, so purling on the wrong side, knitting on the right side. So row 11, knit 2, knit 2 together through the back of the loops and knit to the last 4 stitches. One, 2, 3, 4. Once you have those 4 stitches, knit 2 together and knit 2, and all being well we are left with 10 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Carry on with your thumb insert until the length from the casting off point of the thumb insert marries with the opening on the glove. So if I put my needle here where the opening begins, you can see that the lengths, the 2 lengths from here to here and here to here, are starting to marry. I've finished my thumb insert, ended it on a right side row, knitwise. I'm now going down slightly in needle size whilst picking up stitches. So I'm going to just slip this all onto a slightly smaller needle, just so that I don't forget. I'm just inserting my needle into the series of chain stitches and picking up stitches along as I go. Now I am aiming for a total of 42 stitches, that's in terms of picking up. I've got 10 stitches already, so the grand total would be 52 stitches. I'm coming to the end of my picking up stitches round. And as I work my knit one, purl one band, I will probably just reorganise the stitches so they're a little bit more even. But one thing you must do is ensure that is going to sew into position correctly before you carry on working your band, which I can see that does. Right. Now we know that the starting needle always begins with the thumb insert, so no need to mark this time because the thumb insert itself is acting as a marker. So now all that we have to do is do a knit one, purl one band all the way across for our first round. So that's purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, coming to the end of the very first round, and all being well you'll end the last stitch with a purl one. And there we go, purl for the last stitch. So that's our very first knit one, purl one round completed. So I'm going to carry on, and I'll cast off after completing my 12th round. So beginning knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. When you have a total of 12 rounds of rib, we can cast off, and note I'm casting off in pattern. So I've knitted one, purled one, passing a stitch over, knit one, pass the stitch over, purl one, pass the stitch over, knit one, and so on. Continue that throughout the round. What this achieves is a more elasticated hemline. I've pinned my thumb insert into position, and using an embroidery needle I'm gently weaving in between the main glove and the thumb insert, working all the way around, and I'm using mattress stitch, which is very similar to a running stitch. You're basically weaving backwards and forwards very close to the edge of your work. You're not pulling too tight or working too loosely. You're imitating the tension of the crochet and knitting fabrics.